and I represent Full Sail University. I'm the Director of International Business Development there. This huge industry that people want to be a part of.
Gaming industry happens to be bigger than the music industry and the film industry combined. How does an Indian student stand out?
Imagine learning film in a classroom. So it's more about the technical know-how. Lab and studio type environments, Hollywood style, designed by Universal Studios. The whole campus feels like an amusement park for creative kids, especially for the Indian population. We have scholarships that are merit based, but also maybe project based, essay based. Amazon, the likes of Google, Star, Ubisoft, Blizzard, etc. I believe she was hired by Epic before she even graduated. There's some really good success stories out there. It's going to be hard to not be successful.
I believe we should start by you introducing yourself to our audience and maybe talk a little bit about what Full Sail University stands for and what it has to offer to its students.
For sure. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's really good to be here, especially on the heels of a wonderful vacation. From hot to hot, but I love doing this, Jwalin, so, thanks a lot for having me here. So, as mentioned, my name is Akash Amin, and I represent Full Sail University. I'm the Director of International Business Development there. A brief about Full Sail is we're a university that really focuses on the world of entertainment, media, art design, technology, sports, and then the business behind it. We were founded about 45 years ago. And today we've evolved into this institution that really encompasses everything that revolves around entertainment, media, arts, and technology. So I'm super excited to be here, and hopefully I can answer all of your questions that you have, and hopefully in turn we can help students.
Full Sail is known for its focus on entertainment, media, and technology. Why should Indian students wanting to be in these fields choose Full Sail over any other university across the globe?
Yeah, I mean, why they should choose Full Sail, that's a good question. But in general, when seeking a university, especially in the domains of entertainment, media, technology, I believe it's important for students to find an institution that really gives them the technical know-how. Learning this stuff in a classroom just doesn't really do any justice. Taking exams, listening to a lecturer, yeah, that's one part of it, but how can we make sure that these students know how to apply that information? And I really believe this is where Full Sail shines, is that we have a lab, a lecture-based environment immediately followed by a lab-based environment, allowing them to apply everything that they've just learned. So I think why Full Sail? I would say one of the reasons would be that we focus more on the practicality side of things rather than just the academic side.
So let's say, for example, if we were to talk about all the streams, not just entertainment, media, and technology, you being in this industry for about 20 odd years, I believe, how can a student decide between all the universities out there, all the course options out there? What do you think is the basic 2-3 things they should be looking out for when choosing for university?
So, that question, it brings up many thoughts, especially for the Indian population. I've noticed that students make decisions based on, not all the time, but sometimes they make decisions based on the wrong information or the wrong criteria. But I think, in general, if a student from anywhere is looking to study abroad and make an investment towards their education, they should be looking at things like, first, do a self-examination. What's important to me? What do I want to study? Why do I want to study? Do some research on that industry, see where it's going 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And then look for institutions that really have what they're looking for. And when, if we're looking at the US in specific, there's so many educational institutions, chances are you're going to find an institution that has exactly what you're looking for. So figure out what's important to you, right? And that doesn't mean a cousin living in the same state, right? It doesn't mean this university is top ranked, so I'm guaranteed to make it if I go to that university. It's not about that. What it's about is finding an institution that really appeals to you. you know, that you'll be able to go
And
there.
know where your friends are going
Correct.
to.
And just figure out, you know, find the institution that has what you're looking for. And I promise that you'll be successful in that way.
So looking at how Indian students think, a lot of Indian students have a preconceived notion about what study abroad means for them. What are some of the common misconceptions that these students have that you think you can clarify right away?
Yeah. You've got some great questions right off the bat, and it may not even be the student. It probably starts from the parents, right? And there's no fault to this. It just is the way it is. But it's that if my kid or if I go abroad to study, it's an automatic success, which is not true, right? You can't just go abroad for an education thinking that, yes, I'm going to be immediately successful. Or if I go to a top ranked university, I'm immediately going to be successful. That's not what it's about. So I think, you know, choosing university based on ranking, or choosing an education merely for the fact that I'll get a good job once I graduate, I think that mindset is not going to get you anywhere.
So, you being somebody who represents Full Sail, what are some of the key benefits that a student can see while choosing university, and why should they choose Full Sail? What are some of the key factors that can help somebody decide Full Sail?
Yeah, so if we're talking about Full Sail specifically, you know, as I mentioned, we focus in areas of entertainment, media, arts, technology. And because of that, I'm pretty certain that if you want to be successful in these industries, the more experience that you have, the more exposure that you have, is going to help you within these industries, right? So it's more about the technical know-how, rather than the academic know-how. Now, both are equally important, but I feel that the technical part has a bit of an edge. So when choosing Full Sail, the primary reason why students do end up coming to Full Sail is because they like the way they learn. They like to learn in lab type environments, in studio type environments. Imagine learning film in a classroom. How's that going to work, right? So there are universities out there that do it and that do it pretty well, but what we do at Full Sail is we teach film in an actual backlot, right? We expose students to a V1 production set, which is your virtual production set. So all of these facilities that we have, I think the infrastructure is really important, and the method of education is very important.
Let's say somebody wants to get into Full Sail, and how would they know if their qualifications align with that of your programs? What are the key factors that a student can check to know if they're the right fit for the university?
Okay. Um, Full Sail is an institution that has been built on passion, I would say. Um, and what we feel is important, one of the most important factors, is that a student be passionate about a specific area, and we kind of do the rest, right? So, yes, there are certain qualifications or certain criteria that a student should have when considering Full Sail. So, for instance, if you're looking at an animation degree, and you don't know how to sketch, maybe you need to rethink though, right? Or maybe you need to take some classes in sketching or things like that. So, while we don't penalize students based on previous academic performance, there are some basically common sense areas that, hey, if I want to get into game development, I, I should be decent at mathematics, stuff like that. So while our admission is based on an interview process, right? So we're actually looking at the student, what's important to the student, and what they want to do in the future, and then guide them based on that.
You rightly said, getting into a good institute does not guarantee success. But let's say somebody that gets into Full Sail, how can they succeed in is after graduating from Full Sail, and also how do they excel in their academics?
Sure. So you're right. So that's my opinion as far as going to a specific university doesn't guarantee any jobs. However, at Full Sail, the type of culture that we built for students there is that we kind of immerse them in the area, right? So if you've come as a gaming student, you're going to learn gaming. If you've come as a film student, you're going to learn film. And the way we've done it is it feels more like a work experience, right? So our scheduling, sometimes our students are required to come in at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And the reason why we do that is we try to get them acclimated to their schedule as a professional, because many people may think that this industry requires a 9 to 5 lifestyle. It's incorrect. You know what I mean? Any type of production area or any type of entertainment type of thing, there's no real set hours, and we try to get our students used to that by having these variable schedules, and giving them more lab-based timing. So while we can't guarantee success, it'll be very difficult to goof it up, if you know what I mean, with everything that's exposed to you, and the type of lifestyle that you live as a student on campus. It's going to be hard to not be successful once you graduate.
And sorry, coming back to the same question, how does a student do well in the academics at Full Sail? Let's say it doesn't have to be just the academics, the co-curricular and the academics, and any other extra activities that you guys do. How does a student stand out from, how does an Indian student stand out from other students at Full Sail?
Yeah. So what I've noticed during my time, especially at Full Sail, is that Indian students tend to excel, and I don't know if that's because it's a do or die situation for them, or because they've come from so far away, but they mean business, right? Indian students mean business, and our professors have reached out to me, and our professors have told students, and specifically, that they enjoy teaching Indian students because they come with a purpose, right? Indian students come with a purpose. So I think when it comes to international students, but Indian students especially, because they come with this drive, it allows them to kind of be a part of much more than they actually enrolled for, right? So I'll give you an example. I had a student with a pharmacy background that was interested in gaming, and it was one of my first enrollments, and I was like, there's no way I can, and it was a master's program, and I was like, there's no way I can get you into this program. But after speaking with the student speaking with the professor, and me going back and forth with the professor, they allowed the student to start. And that student since has been a part of many different projects at Full Sail, interacting with students not only from the gaming area, but also from the computer animation area. And they've worked on professional projects with our professors, opened companies, come back to India, opened companies here, and has now settled in Dubai within the gaming industry. Yeah, so there's some really good success stories out there.
So you're talking about the drive of going from a different economy that helps these Indian students succeed in studying abroad. Maybe it's because there's a gap in the purchase power parity between the two countries. Maybe because there's a cultural difference in these two countries. So how do you think these things play a role, and what, if you had to put an impact to it, how big of a role do these things play?
Yeah. So good question. The drive, well, I can't tell you for sure where it comes from, but in my opinion, yes, there's a financial stress, right? A U.S. education is expensive, but I think it's the competitiveness of Indian students. I think we're just naturally want to be good at everything that we do. So when we combine that with the amount of money that we're spending on an education, it's just natural to create that do or die situation, where I've seen Indian students sleep on between classes. They're sleeping on the benches at Full Sail, and there's a student called Krishna. I woke him up and said, Krishna, are you okay? And happy as a bat, very happy, but was just taking a break between two classes. So very, very happy students. And financially, it can be a burden, right? A U.S. education it's not something that is just, very simple to finance. So Full Sail understands that, and we do have a good amount of scholarships available for international students. But what's good about our scholarships is they're not all based on merit, right? Because we can't, it's hard to gauge creativity based on merit, based on your academic results.
True.
So we have scholarships that are merit based, but also maybe project based, essay based, and things like that. So a little bit for everybody.
So I'll go little off track here, and I'll give you a curveball.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about the university. Now let's talk about you. Why is it that you've chosen such a profession, and is it to help such students, or is it monetary terms? If you could just,
Yeah. So these kind of questions get me in trouble. But to be honest with you, I started with Full Sail many years ago, and at that point, it was a job, right?
Mhm.
But as I and this happened very quickly. It's like this culture at Full Sail, not just the students, but the students, faculty, staff members all together. It kind of builds this warm kind of culture that people are actually trying to help you. And I think that's what kept me going. And then the reason why I'm out here, speaking to parents and speaking to students is not primarily about come to Full Sail, but it's more about the industries in which we serve, right? I want people to understand the opportunity within gaming, the opportunity within music, film, and just entertainment as a whole. For instance, esports, right? A lot of people have heard the term esports, but they don't know what it is. And it's actually very simple. It's this huge industry that people want to be a part of. And we've created business degrees, design degrees around esports, right? So, what that tells you is that this is an institution that adapts.
So, for people that don't understand the scope of this, let's say gaming, for example, how big do you think is the gaming industry in terms of dollars?
Okay. So the gaming industry, I believe, this year was set up right about 217 billion USD with
Wow,
a
I did
yeah.
not know that.
Yeah. And I believe by 2024 it's projected to be at around 230 billion dollars. So it kind of goes to show you how fast the industry is growing. But Jwalin, not only that, if we talk about the gaming industry, we're talking about an industry that grabs other industries within technology. So if you think about artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, who was the mainstream industry to adapt that first? It was the gaming industry, right? So now you have AI developers and all of this kind of stuff within the gaming industry. So you're right. Not many people understand.
Yeah, and if I'm not wrong, the gaming industry happens to be bigger than the music industry and the film industry combined.
It's big. I can't tell you the exact numbers. But if I was to guess, I would agree with you. Yeah, and if you've done your research, then you're probably right, and it wouldn't surprise me. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, so moving back to where we are at, talking about Full Sail,
Mm.
if you could, run our audience through what the campus looks like and what a normal, ordinary day at Full Sail is like.
So the campus itself, we're spread over about 210 acres, and it's 210 acres of sheer wonderfulness. I don't even know if that's a word, but it's just amazing. Um, it's built up primarily of lab and studio type environments. We have live venues to where our graduation and receptions take place. We have our own Hollywood style backlot for our film and animation students, which was designed by Universal Studios. We have a virtual production set, which I believe we're the only educational institution in the world to have one. Um, we have a gaming studio that was named after, it's called Blackmore Studios, our gaming school, which is actually named after one of the creators of Dungeons and Dragons. You're
Oh,
probably a
wow.
bit too young to know what Dungeons and Dragons is, but for all my gamers out there, they would really understand what that means and the depth of how far our roots are within gaming and technology. But the average day at Full Sail is for students is I could only imagine is tiring, right? It's a lot of class, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of labs, it's a lot of projects. But all of this just tunes into the type of job that they would get once they graduate.
So, from the student's perspective, what is it like juggling between these lectures and these studios and the extracurricular activities that they do? How does a day, if you could break down the day for me?
Yeah. So the good thing about Full Sail is that while we're a big campus, it's segmented, right? So if you're a computer animation student, the majority of your class time will be in one building. maybe different classes, but one building. So it's not like you're hopping around a lot. But one thing I've noticed is that students love their day at Full Sail, and I want to say the reason behind that is there's not a lot of outside noise. And what I mean by that is you're not taking multiple humanities or multiple mathematics or stuff like that if you're an animation student or if you're a film student,
True.
right?
But again, I'm sure your students love the lectures, but once in a while, I'm sure they'd be bunking classes. What is the hot spot at the campus where these students would go bunk?
Sure. So we have the whole campus feels like an amusement park for creative kids, right? So anywhere you go on campus, you're gonna be amazed. It's good stuff. But we have lots of cafeterias on campus, and they're like artsy hipster cafeterias, really cool. We have outdoor spaces, indoor spaces. But another really cool area is what we call the tree house, and it's a really creative space with tables and chairs for you to sit down. There's also a stage there. We have open mic nights there. So there's a lot of Treehouse is a good area on campus.
So, you being a gym fanatic, what are some of the recreational activities? What are some of the sports that you have at the campus that students can go beyond their, core activities?
Yeah. So we have close to 1,000 different clubs on campus, and cultural, social, chess club, movie club, so there's sports clubs, there's lots of different clubs that students can take a part of. There's also a mentorship program that students can actually avail or provide. A cool thing that is available for students is that, so as I mentioned, that the campus is it's a professional grade, right? So whatever you see on a professional set is what you'll see on campus. And because of that, outside companies, professional companies will come and utilize our campus for professional projects. And when that happens, students are able to take part in those projects. So that is the best way I could tell students to utilize their free time, for a few options, but primarily because they can put that on their resume. I worked with WWE, and that's even before you graduate. So there's lots of stuff to do, both social and professional.
Okay. Am I seeing two watches there?
You are, Jwalin. So you mentioned fitness freak. So don't judge me today. I just come back from a 12-day Vietnamese trip, but I bought this watch specifically for the fitness part of things, and this is my daily watch.
But then doesn't that serve the same purpose? Oh, you want the Rolex to be.
It's not about the Rolex, but yes, I do like this timepiece. This is a timepiece. This is a watch.
Nice. Okay, so we talked about Full Sail, we talked about yourself in this profession. Let's talk a little bit about the city beyond the campus. What does the city look like?
Beautiful. I mean, think palm trees, think blue skies, think beaches, think Disney, right? So, and it's not Disneyland, okay? It's Disney World. There's only one Disney World, and that is in Orlando, Florida, about 45 minutes from campus. So, it's a tourist destination, right? Orlando is a tourist destination, so there's lots of stuff to do there. It's very multicultural. You'll find people from all over the world there, whether they're visiting or they're staying. Lots of different kinds of food as well, in and around the campus as well as outside. And then downtown Orlando is I would say about a 5-minute taxi or Uber ride to downtown Orlando. So there's lots to do, whether you're into nature, there's lots of parks and stuff like that. If you're into skateboarding, there's a lot of hipster stuff going on. UCF is down the road, and Rollins is the other way. So it's kind of like a college community as well, as far as the campus is placed. So lots of things to do, very pleasant climate to live in, and it's generally enjoyable living in Orlando.
So you mentioned that load of projects, load of companies come in and do projects within the campus with the students. If you could name a few more, individuals, some maybe film directors that come in. If you could name some of the well-known people that our audience can connect with.
So, Full Sail graduates, right? Because Full Sail focuses more on behind the scenes, right? So we're more on the production side. I can name projects that our students have been a part of. But since you mentioned director, I don't know if you've ever heard of Mr. Boozman, but he was the director of the majority of the Saw movies that came out. You know, the
Oh
horror movie.
yeah.
Yeah. So he was the director of that, and then we have Larry Kratz, who was the AD on one of the Planet of the Apes movies, but he's actually a professor, right? So that goes to tell you that even our professors have industry experience. So yeah, there's a lot of those companies, and then WWE pre-COVID. If you were watching TV and you saw WWE pop up and it was a WWE NXT event, then what you were actually looking at was our live venue, right? So it was only filmed and shot live from Full Sail University, and it was broadcasted all over the world. But students were able to be a part of that as well. Boys to Men were there not too long ago, and then there's the the mix engineer for the likes of Beyonce, Cardi B. He is also Leslie Brathwaite. I was forgetting his name. Good chap, but he also does a lot for our student community and comes and gives back.
So you guys are putting a lot of effort in getting these people on the campus, but what are you doing to make sure that students get the best out of it through these experiences?
So that's a good question. Something that our academics or especially our career development department ponder upon all of the time, because while these professionals come and visit our campus and give back to our students, we want to make sure that our students are able to take part in these activities. And believe it or not, we don't have to do anything. The minute they hear these, because these are big deals in their industry, right? So if you were interested in being a music producer or a sound engineer and you knew that the person that worked with Cardi B was offering a workshop, would somebody need to force you to go there? And the answer is no, right? So all of our students do flood these events and really take away what the professional is giving out.
So there's a lot of learning that happens within the campus. But let's say for some of the Indian students that want to settle in the United States, or let's say they want to work over there for some time, what are you doing to help them get the monetary value from these learnings?
Yeah, good question. We don't want any of our students to go back without some sort of experience, right? Because that's where the fun is, right? You've gone to school, you've had a good time, but now you want to be able to apply the information in real time. So we have a career development department, probably one of the largest in the US. And these individuals, what they do is basically keep the relationships that Full Sail has built within the industry alive. So, and by doing so, they're also able to understand which companies are hiring for what positions. And we have a big database. And each student has access to this career development department from the first day. They have open door Wednesdays, I believe it's what it's called, and they can go approach them at any time. But during, I think it's right at the 90-day mark. So 3 months before they graduate, students are assigned a one-on-one career development advisor. And at that point, things start to get serious, right? Because if you haven't found a job by yourself by then it's probably time for you to speak to career development and start weighing out your options. So they get a one-on-one advisor at that point who kind of sit down and say, you know, where are you good at? What do you want to do? What type of company do you want to work for? Geographically, where you want to work for? And then they're able to filter options that way. But it doesn't end there, right? They also help them professionally in terms of interview taking skills, what to wear, what not to wear. Is your LinkedIn cleaned up? Is your Facebook cleaned up? Is your social media cleaned up? You know, things like that as well. So it's kind of like a whole package. And this alumni service, this graduate and alumni service is available to them for life.
So following to the same question, let's say there's a lot of effort that is being put into helping the student after the graduation. If you could name some of the things that your alumni are doing these days, where are they at? What position do they work at? And some of the work they've gotten. I believe I've heard a lot of your students have gotten Oscars and Grammys. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I always like to talk about our graduates, right? They're the reason we do what we do, and if our alumni are not successful, we're not successful. So that being said, a lot, the top companies that everybody hears about do hire our students, the likes of Amazon, the likes of Google's, and then the gaming companies, Rockstar, Ubisoft, Blizzard, etc. Um, but I want to go back about 5 years. I had the student from Chennai. Her name was Nivi. Um, and she was a super student. She came to Full Sail for our game design master's program.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like your model student, right? She came, she made use of every piece of opportunity Full Sail forwarded her, um, every resource that we had. And I believe she was hired by Epic before she even graduated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Epic Games a big deal, and it wasn't. I believe it was an assistant producer level position, so a really good position right out of school. And while it was a really good position for her, she really wanted to work for that company. She then later on was picked up by Microsoft, and I believe the reason why she went to Microsoft is because she was able to lead a project in an area that she was really passionate about, and it had something to do with games and kids and things like that. So the possibilities are there, the options are there. Any you mentioned Oscars, right? So this past 2024, I believe we had 100 students, alumni. I'm sorry, that were credited on Oscar nominations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the list goes on and on.
So there's law that happens after Full Sail graduation. There's law that happens during Full Sail graduation. But let's say for a student that may or may not join the Full Sail family, what advice would you have for them if they're planning on pursuing tech or gaming or entertainment media?
Yeah. For international students specifically, it's a big decision, man. Going abroad and getting an education. Not only are you moving miles away from your family, but you're stepping into this unknown, right? So it's scary, but you're also carrying this, I'm going to say debt, because it's something that you're paying for, but you haven't seen a return yet, right? So
True.
there's a lot of stress for international students. So when searching for a country, for a university, I'll go back to making sure you pick a university that's right for you, that has the resources that you are looking for.
If you could talk a little bit more about the challenges that international students face before their admission and application process and during this as well.
Sure. So before the application process, the main struggle that they focus with outside of financial is outside noise, right? We're talking about my uncle wants me to go to this school, my friend went to this school, and so I want to go to that school, right? So it's the decision making process that is an actual challenge. And it really eats into these kids because they're led to believe that something is right for them, which actually may not be right for them.
And what should one do while facing such criticism?
Correct.
Or maybe there could be some value added opinions. But from your perspective, from what you know, how can students juggle through these criticisms and perhaps wrong advices?
Yeah. So there are a few ways. And two of the ways that I would suggest would be to seek out a reputed education consultant, such as Rao, um, and do your research, right? Don't listen to people that have no qualifications within the education sector. Why would you listen to a friend or an uncle or an aunt? No, it's hard not to listen to these folks, right? You have the utmost respect for these people. They're successful. You want to take their advice. Take the advice. I'm not saying don't take it, but they are not skilled, nor are they knowledgeable, nor do they have any years of experience within the educational field. So, what makes their advice better than an actual educational consultant or a university representative? So this would be my advice to students, that while picking a university, to actually use people that are skilled and that are qualified within that area to help you or guide you, not pick for you, but help or guide you.
I'm sure you'll have a lot of students joining Full Sail University in this coming intake. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Full Sail is a family, right? So, but that doesn't happen only once the student is there. It happens during the application phase and while they're waiting to come to Full Sail. So I personally am a part of a WhatsApp group with
Mm.
all of our future students that are
Mm.
all in there, and that group is very active,
Mm.
and not active by me or any of my staff, but it's actually active by the students, right?
Oh
And
wow.
they're communicating with each other as far as who needs a roommate, where's everyone going to stay, what program are you taking, hey, have you seen this cool clip
Mm.
about Full Sail or not,
Mm.
but related to within the industry. So the best advice I could give students that are registered for Full Sail and that are planning to come is just try to keep up with the industry. So if you're coming for gaming or film, try and keep up with the industry, see what's going on in the industry, go to Full Sail's blog, check out what developments there are within your area.
So do you reach out to these students with the WhatsApp group that you have after they've registered, after they've applied,
Yes.
or after the offer letter?
So we actually have a system that we have separate WhatsApp groups. So we have
Mm.
WhatsApp groups for interested students.
Okay.
But that one it's a bit messy, right?
Mm.
Because it's still the very initial stage, and then we
Mm.
have a WhatsApp group for applicants for applied students,
Okay.
and that is the one that's kind of active. And what's good about that one is that we have alumni placed in those groups
Mm.
as well,
Mm. Mm.
but only in the application group because alumni also will interact with
Not in the
students.
interested, because I would imagine alumni would be the best people for students interested in such a university to get
You're
into.
right. But imagine, right? So I have an alumni here from Gujarat. His name is Yash.
Mm.
And he's worked on countless Bollywood movies and probably a lot of Gujarati movies as well, local movies.
Mm.
It's funny because I see his WhatsApp, it's not his WhatsApp, his Facebook and Instagram. He's at every bloody movie premiere that I can imagine, right? And he invites my wife and myself, but we're always usually not in the country. But imagine me putting him in a group with interested students.
Mm.
While this is not a fault of the interested student, but they can be overwhelming at times,
True.
right?
True.
And for an alumni to separate their time and effort to go in and help this student that is not even decided on whether Full Sail is the right
True.
fit, it really it creates too much havoc. So I will individually put them in touch if they want to. You don't need to be an applicant for me to put you in touch with my alumni, but to be a part of the group, I'm not going to, it's too much work for the
So
alumni.
what we could do is we could add some of these groups you have for students that have applied and interested in a video,
Yeah.
and anybody interested could go and visit that group.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Oh, good. It has been wonderful having you here. It has been great insight for our viewers to know about Full Sail, what Full Sail stands for, and how they can get into Full Sail and what they'll end up probably doing after their graduation through Full Sail. And thank you.
Sure. It's a pleasure doing this stuff. As I mentioned, Jwalin, I love doing this stuff. I love shedding information and just allowing students to understand that there are options out there, right? This is the key thing, is that there are a lot of options out there. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. I hope I'm able to help shed some light on different areas of Full Sail, but and the industries in which we serve. And I look forward to helping any students that come your way.